Hello and welcome to Paper Plays Julie K.
Welcome everyone to the December installment of Smash That Small Paper Pad collab with Deb Huck. And I do have Deb Huck's channel along with all the other ladies who have been participating in this collab this month. And I will have them again listed below in the description box. And again, we have been working on smashing some of our small paper pads. And again, anything goes as long as it's smaller than the 12 by 12 paper pad. So you could use an 8.5 by 11 or smaller. And so mostly I've been working with the 6 by 6, and then I also had this one right here, which is 6 by 8 that I worked with. And I was down to just these two pads. After last month I made a whole bunch of Christmas cards. And so I was down to a few sheets of this and then some scraps. Earlier I had created those two mini albums using this paper pad, so I still had some sheets left. And then I also had some paper left in the Silver Bells, and I just kind of made the executive decision to not do anything else with this paper pad. I have a lot of scraps in here, and I think there's about maybe 3 or 4 sheets of the 6.5 by 6.5 and then some cut aparts, and I'm just going to go ahead and put these in with my Christmas papers for next year. I do have this paper pad in 12 by 12, so and it's one of my favorite ones, so I'm not worried about eventually using this one. So I did make the executive decision not to work in this one anymore. I did create a couple of cards that I showed you earlier with this paper pad. So everything you're going to be seeing now was paper from this paper pad, and I know it was some of the black and white paper, and then there might have been a couple of the green sheets and this style of paper, and then also this pink one right here that were left. And what I ended up doing is creating some tags or some embellishments for junk journals, or you could even just pop these onto cards. And what I ended up doing was cutting some ovals using Spellbinders dies, and I used a regular oval and then a scalloped edge oval. And so I would start off by laying one oval down on the cardstock, and then I went ahead and cut an oval in half to create a pocket. So this is a pocket right here. And this one I did decorate a little bit. I added some eyelash trim, and I added another die cut, and then I added the word love. It was just an extra one floating around in my stash just to show you how you could decorate them. And so this one, if I were to make it into a tag, I'd actually add an eyelet at the top and then add a little bit of a ribbon, but not knowing how I want to use it. If I pop it on a card, I don't want that on there. So I just left it like that. And again, also from the paper scraps and then also the cardstock that I use, I punched out anything that was big enough to punch out after I'd made all these. I punched out little tags, and so you could use these tags inside of here. So I do have a box or small box full of tags like this that when I make my junk journals, I pull it out and I just try to incorporate bits and pieces into my junk journals. So here is one that I had somewhat decorated. Here is another one. And again, you could just stick little things in there. This was part of the cut apart from this paper collection that I had left. So I just stuck that in that pocket. And then here's another style with the eyelash trim. Again, all very similar, made exactly the same way. Some I just chose to use the eyelash trim, some I didn't. And then, let's see, these ones had a little bit more of a fall vibe to them. And I also thought too, on some of these, I do have these stickers. It's not from the same company, but they're similar, that if I decorate them, I could add some of these little embellishments onto some of these pockets. But I decided not to do that, not knowing how I was going to use them. If they were in junk journals, I want to leave them fairly flat. So I just have some nice pieces to incorporate into some future projects. So I had 4 on that style. And then I took all the black and white paper that was left, which I wasn't quite sure what I was going to make with those. They weren't quite elegant enough to make wedding cards or anniversary cards. A lot of times I like to use my black and white paper to make wedding themes things. And so I thought the other area where I use a lot of the black and white is in Halloween. So I went ahead and went through all my cardstock scraps and cut out, you know, some oranges and purples and greens that I'd be able to add into a Halloween themed junk journal. And all I would need to do is add a word right here, that said Halloween or scary or boo or something, and maybe do a die cut of a bat or a spider and add that little embellishment on there, and then they would be finished. And again, I could finish it into a tag or else just attach it to a page in my junk journal. And you could also use them as tuck spots if you only glued half of them. And again, these are pockets, so you can stick a small little tag in them. And so these ones were the other ones that I created. Some of these I did add the eyelash trim to. I had some green and some purple eyelash trim, so some of these I did end up adding eyelash trim. And this was kind of a quick little project to do with my leftover pieces or the paper that I had left that I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with. And I think they'll look really cute once I'm able to add some Halloween embellishments. And I just didn't feel like pulling out my Halloween box of stuff. And this one I didn't get put onto a piece of cardstock. I just ran out of cardstock in those colors, and I didn't want to start with a new sheet, so I'll just leave that one as is. And then I wanted to show you guys, so after I did this, when I made the pockets, I ended up having to cut part of this oval off. And so I did make some like circle or coin sized little tag envelopes, and again, I left them open so that I could put a tag in them. And so I have a whole bunch of those in different colors. Again, I just kind of went through my cardstock scraps to make those into circles. And then the other idea I had, if you had those little pieces, so when I cut off that top one to create the pocket, you can make some little embellishments like this. And so I just wanted to show you one that I didn't finish decorating. So this one I just took those pieces and I put half up and half down. And then I went ahead and added a banner over the front of it, so you could do that right like that, and you'd have a banner piece. And then this one I added the word thankful to it, and it's a nice little finished embellishment. So again, they were just the little half circles from when I cut the pockets, so like this. And they weren't quite big enough to the little half pieces. I mean, I could have put them together, but they didn't match up all of them, so it worked just to put them on an oval. And again, you can decorate with a little banner piece and add a word, and then you have a really nice quick and easy embellishment out of your scraps that you can add to a card or a junk journal. And so that was what I created this month. And then again, anything that didn't work for these ended up as little tags that I will just put away for future projects that I dig through. And so I did want to do a really quick recap of everything that I got done this last year. It was kind of fun. I saved all of my covers just so I could remember how many paper pads I smashed. And so I'm not counting this one that I didn't finish. But all these ones are what I finished. And if you look at them, I did put, if there's a number on here, that's how many pieces were left in the paper pad. Because some of these paper pads before this collab, I had used some of the sheets, and some of them were brand new. Like this one, for instance, I used all 30 sheets. So if you see a little marker on there, that's because that's how many papers I used in the paper pad. So I went through this Auburn Lane one. So again, I smashed 14 paper pads, which I think is great. So I went through that one. I had this Christmas one from Authentique. This one from Simple Stories, 25 Days of Christmas. The Carta Bella Christmas Day one. And I had two of these from Kaiser Craft that just had minimal sheets left in them. I also did this Timeless Memories from Prima. The Lost and Found. This one's called Union Square, and that's from My Mind's Eye. I also did this Beautiful from Kaiser Craft. Bo Bunny, I had this Madeline collection. Another Bo Bunny one. This one was called Felicity. And this Country Garden collection. I did that one, and that one only had 20 sheets. And I also did this paper pad Botanica. So those are all the ones that I completed this year. And then since I am joining the collab for next year, I thought I'd go ahead in this video and just go through the paper pads I'm going to start with. And again, I'm one of those crafters that I get bored working from the one same thing. So I like to show you guys a couple of paper pads that I'm working from at the same time. So I'll be mixing and matching and just doing a couple sheets from each paper pad until they're gone before I pick out a new batch of paper pads. And so the first two paper pads I decided to pick out were these two. And As some of you guys know, Gracie21 here on YouTube passed away this year, and these were two of the paper pads that she had gifted me, and they've been in my hoard pile for a while just because I really love Graphic 45 and I really love this Downton Abbey Crafter's Companion paper, and I decided just in memory of her I would take out these paper pads and use them for my hoard pile. And so this first one, the Graphic 45 8x8, was the Children's Hour, and she gifted me the big pad also of this one, but I just pulled out this is an 8x8 paper pad, and then I also had a couple of embellishments, and I can't remember if Gracie gifted me these or my friend Sherry, because she gives me a lot of Graphic 45 stuff too. So these do match, so I'm probably trying to incorporate some of those into whatever I do with this one. And what I thought about this one, which would be fun, is since this one is kind of geared up for month by month, there's a January, a couple pages for January, a couple pages for February, a couple pages for March, etc. What I'm going to do is each month show you what I did with that month's paper. So next month, January, I'll show you what I did with the 2 January pages. And then come February, I'll do something with the February one, etc. So I'm going to do that with this one. And then again, I have this Downton Abbey one. It's such a beautiful paper collection. It is a 6x6, and this has all the sheets in there. There's 48 double-sided sheets, and there's 3 of each design. But this is just high quality paper, and it's beautiful. And so I'm going to do probably some cards and maybe some junk journal items with this one too. I do also have this paper pad in 12x12 that Gracie also, or Grace, actually gifted me one year for my birthday. So I'm going to use this paper pad in memory of her, I guess. And then the other paper pads I pulled out were 2 other ones. I do have a ton of Bo Bunny paper pads that I can't stop buying at Tuesday morning, so I'm trying to get through some of them. And so this one is the Butterfly Kisses. There's 36 pages, and I haven't opened this one up yet, so but it's kind of some nice spring bright colored paper, a little bit shabby on some of them. And I also pulled out from my stash, I don't know if these are still part of this same collection or not, but just some different embellishments that I picked up at Tuesday morning that seem like they might match. So I'm going to try to incorporate some of those just so I can start using up more things in my stash. And then the last paper that I pulled out was this one from Kaiser Craft. And this one is called Time Machine. And this particular paper pad I picked up, our local craft store has rummage sales twice a year. And so someone was selling this for like $2, and I think it has all of the sheets in it, but I will go through and count them just to make sure how many sheets are actually in here. And this one's a little bit more of a masculine paper pad, slightly steampunk feel to it. There's a lot of clocks and gears and stuff in this one. And so I did pull this one out just to challenge myself a little bit. The first couple pages actually are kind of my vintage style, and then like I said, the rest is kind of all of a little bit steampunk type feel to it. And so I figured maybe I would try and make a few masculine cards and maybe some steampunk type style or embellishments for a journal or something. So I did pull this one out just to kind of challenge myself, and there's some Father's Day sayings in here, so I should be able to make a couple Father's Day cards out of this paper pad also. So those are my paper pads for the upcoming year that I will be working on, and I hope to see you guys back again next year. And again, we will be posting our videos on the 25th every month, and again, using any paper pads that are smaller than 12x12. So again, hopefully you guys all have a wonderful day, and happy crafting.